Hi, I'm Ramona Wurst with Ramona's Basil Garden, and we are in Ennis, Texas with Tommy Copeland, and he has got a wonderful organic farm here.
Well, since you're this one, this lime basil, what I was told was an excellent companion with fish. You could actually put this on a fish and get that citrus flavor that you're always liking. Yeah, fish, and it imparts that lime flavor pretty strongly. So it's a nice basil. It's headed out now. We haven't found a big market for it yet, but I think it's just because people do not realize how to use it. You know, basil is one of those things where you have to train people how to use it in their cooking sometimes to make it worthwhile for them.
Well, that's correct. I know that I raise lemon basil, and I have tried to raise lime basil. I'm still looking for the seeds. But with lime basil, it's when you pinch off a leaf, it is actually, it smells a lot stronger than your lemon basil, and it tastes just a little bit stronger. So you still have the lemon lime flavor. And then over here we have a compost bin, and tell us just a little bit about that.
Well, we just believe that's probably the best fertilizer that we can work with. In our soils, we need organic matter, and this is the best way to do it, is to incorporate leaves, anything we can find that will compost well for us. We try to utilize kitchen scraps that are not meat, just our vegetables, and we usually get this bin full about 2 to 3 times a year in turning it and keeping it in the garden. So great source of nutrients, builds up the soil well, and I'm a firm believer that compost is the way to go in this area.
So now you've got pallets, and that allows air.
Allows air to go in all the way to the bottom, and it helps quicken that release of all those good things, and those leaves and get them broken down quicker.
And right now he's picking hatch chilies. So tell us just a little bit about your hatch chilies.
Hatch chilies, of course, most people remember them from the red ones when they make the ristas, which they're maturing now. A good pepper, good to eat stuff, and we grow about, well, there's about 75 plants here, something like that. It's all organic. We've been doing it for about 4 years, building up the soil and using natural methods in order to grow our plants.
So now with your tomato plants, you have heard, of course I'm with the basil garden, you have heard that if you put your basils in between your tomato plants, that it not only enhances the flavor of the tomatoes, but it also keeps some of the bad bugs away from them.
Now if we could just get mozzarella cheese to grow along with it, we'd have it all together.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? All right, now I see some other tomato plants.
Different types. Like I say, we have about 5 different varieties. Most of them are determinate varieties because I don't stake these, which you see when you're in a commercial production, that you need to have them staked up. Because we grow determinate ones, we're at the end of the season. We're just now letting the ground kind of mellow out, and we're going to get ready for the fall garden. We do a lot of kale, Swiss chard, and beets. We have a really large market for beets in this area, both the greens and the beet itself.
Right now, I know that you do sell the whole tomatoes, the whole fresh tomatoes, right. And then Christy also chops them up and sun-dries them.
Right. We found that that's a good way to utilize all of our tomatoes, and it's just an intense flavor if you ever use them. We use them in our pastas and putting olive oil on them, and you get a really nice olive oil flavored.
Tell me a little bit. David was telling me that Ennis is known for their black soil.
Yes.
Now, is that why is it called black soil?
This is it's called the Grand Prairie, and it's an area which it has been developed under a prairie of big tall grasses. We farmed this area early on in Texas history and pretty well knocked all of the organic matter out of the soil. It's still black because of the Montanurlic clay, which is a clay that shrinks and swells. Our ground moves 7 inches up and down within a year in a cycle of heating and freezing and thawing. So this soil is a constant motion, and gets huge cracks when it's dry, and gets just as hard as a brick when it's getting into the summertime. And then it can rain in the wintertime and turn into a mud bog, and you can go all the way way to your ankles in mud and just never get out of the mud when it's rains. So it's a hard soil to work with. That's why we use grass strips, because I can come out here even when we've had a big rain and I can work in the garden and not fall through and have, it pulls your boots off of you. That's kind of a sticky clay.
Oh, wow. So I haven't seen, so that's the reason for the grass strips, is so that you can actually come.
I can work in the garden all year long. And in the wintertime, that's a real, otherwise you can't get in for weeks at a time.
So now you were talking about your tomatoes, and you were talking about determinate tomatoes and indeterminate tomatoes. What is the difference?
Well, determinate tomatoes pretty much have a life cycle that lasts about 4 or 5 months long. They grow to about knee-high, about 3-4 foot, make a really large flush of tomatoes in the springtime, early summer, and then they just taper off pretty fast. They're easier to grow for me because they don't get too tall, they don't turn over, the vines stay in a compact size to work, and tomatoes are easy to get to. Indeterminates are the kinds that just keep growing a vine longer and longer, and they just go all season long. And they get real leggy. You have to stake them. You have to work the vines to pull off the suckers and keep them producing right, which is a determinant you don't have to do.
Now, do you have some brand names that are determined?
The ones that work in this county the best is Celebrity. It's about a 6-8 ounce tomato. It's got a great flavor, and it is a hybrid, but just doesn't have a lot of diseases that we see in some of our other tomatoes that we have here. Beefsteak works. We just don't get as big a production off them as some of the others. Early Girl is a good variety for this area too. I don't know if y'all may use those or not. This is one that we designed and built herself with the aid of the high school woodworking shop class. And this one has actually gone to 5 different shows and won everywhere it's gone.
Wow.
And it is 8 feet long and 3 foot wide. It is a mobile chicken coop, and we use this to go down our aisles, and they can get bugs, they can till the soil, they fertilize for us, and they eat our grass down so that we don't have